Hello, my topic today is marijuana and the developing brain. As states move toward legalizing marijuana, we still have a lot to learn about its effects on the developing adolescent brain. To date, 23 states have legalized marijuana for medical use since 1996. The states of Alaska, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and Washington, D.C. have legalized marijuana for recreational use in people over 21. The National Institute of Drug Abuse, or NIDA, has a growing body of literature that all points in the same direction. Starting young and using marijuana frequently leads to problems with brain development. Marijuana has shown considerable promise in the treatment of certain medical conditions like chronic pain syndromes, muscle spasm, seizure, nausea from cancer chemotherapy. The product that we believe has produced these effects is something called cannabidiol, which is a chemical component of marijuana that has not been linked to mind-altering effects. THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, is the psychoactive agent of marijuana. THC impairs functions like attention, learning, judgment, planning, decision-making, and these effects can last for days after the high is worn off. There is a growing body of literature that has shown that heavy use of marijuana during adolescence leads to dismal life outcomes like poor school performance, high dropout rates, increased dependence on welfare, unemployment, lower life satisfaction, and higher suicide rates. Is marijuana the causal agent? Well, we're not sure. There's lots of things that could be at play here, like emotional distress, peer influence, and there are studies looking to tease out these factors and to see just how big of a role marijuana plays in these outcomes. There is a Duke psychologist who recently published a study looking at 1,000 New Zealanders who used marijuana almost daily from the ages of 13 to 38. Neuropsychological functioning done before and after showed a drop in function equivalent to a loss of 6 IQ points in those individuals, which is along the realm of early lead exposure, and that is scary and significant. Adolescent brains may be more susceptible to damage from marijuana use, and that is because the brain is really still under construction even until your mid-20s. Brain structural abnormalities, changes in neural activity can be shown up to a month after marijuana use has stopped. These effects seem more pronounced when kids start early, before the age of 16. This has prompted NIDA to kick off another study that will start later this year called the Adolescent Brain and Cognitive Development Study, or the ABCD trial. This will look at over 10,000 youth over 10 years, starting around age 9 or 10. They'll follow these kids before they've started substance use and look at brain changes that may follow so we can better understand what happens. Currently, we don't know what a safe level of marijuana use is, and we don't know if the brain changes that occur are reversible. Will the brain recover with time? We don't know, but hopefully studies like the ABCD trial will help answer that question. What we do know is that marijuana's potency has increased greatly over the past 30 years. THC concentrations 30 years ago ranged to about 5 to 10%, but a recent analysis of samples in Colorado, marijuana samples, showed potencies of up to 30%. There are also many new ways that teenagers are using the marijuana product. Highly concentrated resins and edible products like think marijuana gummy bears are being used more frequently by teens. The concern is that users don't know how much of a dose they're getting, and these products take longer to be metabolized. Teens tend to overindulge while they're waiting for their high to kick in. We just don't know how these high-potency products will affect brain development. So with half of the U.S. moving towards legalization, how do these laws affect teens? Well, 2 studies have looked at that. The Journal of Adolescent Health in 2014 and The Lancet in 2015 both published studies showing no increased marijuana use in states that had passed laws. However, researchers noted that in these states, marijuana use was higher in teenagers, which might lead us to believe that more permissive attitudes about marijuana versus direct access or increased access lead to and influence teen use. So we need a strong message. The National Institute of Child and Family Studies reported that parents are just confused about marijuana laws. They don't know what's legal and what's not legal, and they're not talking to their kids. Unfortunately, retailers are talking to kids. The advertisements are directed toward youth. Currently, about 9% of adults that use cannabis get addicted, while 17% of teens that start using get addicted, and companies know where to target their advertising. A large percentage of a company's profit comes from a small percentage of chronic daily users, and so adolescents have become a target. We have to talk to our kids, and we know that. Legalization is moving ahead prematurely without consideration of the lessons we've learned from nicotine and alcohol policy prevention research. Marijuana policy is currently outpacing science, and the take-home message is there's a lot we know, but there's a lot we don't know. A lot of the studies to date have been focused on chronic daily heavy users. We just don't know what recreational use will do to a developing brain. We don't know if those changes are lifelong. More information will be needed. And until then, the American Academy of Pediatrics believes that legalizing marijuana is not a good choice for kids and that youth should not use marijuana. This means that parents, relatives, and caregivers should not use marijuana in front of children and teens for safety reasons and role modeling reasons. Targeting youth with advertisement should be banned. Packaging should be child safe and child proof. And we should create public health campaigns in line with the anti-smoking campaigns. The American Academy of Pediatrics feels that if marijuana is going to be used as a medicine, it should be done carefully and with further research to look at its long-lasting effects. Our first responsibility is to our children. They rely on us to be safe and well, and marijuana policy should be no different. Our children, teenagers, and young adults are our future. So let's be careful, be thoughtful, and keep them in mind as we move forward. Thank you.